Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Construction Studies Foundation Detail series. In this video we're going to take a closer look at the pile foundation, a foundation type that's used when the ground isn't strong enough to support traditional foundations like strip or raft foundations. Just like before, I'll explain what a pile foundation is, when it's used, its advantages and disadvantages, and I'll show you how to draw it step by step using the animated PowerPoint. This will make it much easier to understand the foundation, how it works, and how to represent it correctly when drawing your scale from 1 to 10. Our learning intention for this video is to describe and draw a pile foundation using the 1 to 10 scale drawing, showing the main components clearly and accurately to scale. And we should be able to identify the main parts of the pile foundation, explain when and why it's used, and produce a clear, accurate 1 to 10 drawing of the detail. A pile foundation is used where the soil near the surface is too weak to support the weight of the building. Instead of resting on a surface, long concrete or steel piles are driven deep into the ground until they reach a stronger layer of soil or rock. These piles then transfer the building's load down to the soil's layer, giving it a stable base. One key advantage of a pile foundation is that it allows buildings to be constructed safely on poor or unstable ground such as soft clay or reclaimed land. However, a disadvantage is that pile foundations are more expensive and require specialist equipment to install, so they're usually only used when necessary. So when would a pile foundation be used? Pile foundations are typically used for large or heavy structures or in areas where good bearing soil is very deep below the surface, such as multi-storey buildings, bridges, or coastal structures. When you're drawing your detailed drawings, just make sure that it is a scale 1 to 10 where you're dividing all of these measurements by 10. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off by drawing our pile, and the pile can be any depth. It really does depend on how deep the pile needs to go in order to reach sufficient bedrock. So for the purpose of this video, I've only made it 50 millimeters. It is a concrete pile indicated by our triangles. On top of this pile, we're going to have our 600 by 350 reinforced ring beam, and we can tell that it's reinforced using our steel here and our circles. On top of this, we are going to start our 350 cavity construction. So in the center of our pile foundation, we have got our 3 blocks, our infill, and then our 3 blocks then as well, and these blocks are going up 200 millimeters each. On the left side, we're going to go outside the building. So this is going to be our ground layer here. This is the surface that you walk on when you're outside. And all I've done here is I've gone up 300 millimeters and brought it across just over here and then connected it using the 60-degree set square. This is ground surface here, indicated by these lines. You don't need to fill in the whole thing. Over on the right hand side, we're going to do our hardcore here, and the same principle as over here. Just went up 300 millimeters, went up 300 again, and then connected this using the 60-degree set square. This is down 115, it's down 150, 150, and then just fill it in using your hardcore. Next, we're going to continue the 350 cavity construction. So we've got our 100 external leaf, 50 cavity, 100 insulation, and 100 inner leaf. On top of the hardcore, we have our 40 sand blinding indicated by our dots, and just over here we have got our 30 insulation. On top of our 40 blinding, we've got 100 insulation, and then on top of that we have our 150 concrete subfloor. On top of this we have our 25 flooring, and then on the inside of the dwelling we have got our 12 render, and we have our 18 render on the exterior of the building. Once that's done, we have got our damp-proof membrane or our radon barrier. We have also then got our damp-proof course to prevent capillary action, and we have our wall ties here to reinforce the entire wall. Once that's done, we just start labeling everything to do with the pile foundation. This is what your pile foundation may look like once you have drawn it. So the pile foundation is just in the center of the page, and then I've got all of the annotations pointing to their corresponding component in the foundation. Then the right hand side, we've just got a few more keywords then as well. Before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap. Our learning intention was to describe and draw a pile foundation in the 1:10 scale drawing. Our success criteria were to identify the parts of the pile foundation, explain why a pile foundation may be used and when it's acceptable to use it, and to draw it accurately to scale. We also identified an advantage and a disadvantage. We learned that pile foundations are used when surface soils are too weak, that they transfer loads deep down into the ground, and that while they're very strong and stable, they can also be very costly and complex to construct. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.